Today we are in downtown Sebring. You can see it right here. And this town, if you look behind me here, was recently restored, updated, whatever you want to call it, by HGTV. And today we're going to take a ride around and check it out. So let's hit the road. Today we travel to Highlands County, to the city of Sebring, that was recently the winner of HGTV's HOMETOWN TAKEOVER. We'll ride the Honda Navi around the unique downtown, as well as check out other local landmarks of this gem in the middle of Florida. You know, it just occurred to me that many of you guys haven't even seen my Navi that I ride around, and this is a Navi channel, so here it is. Honda Navi, small form factor, it's called the Mini Moto. Miniature motorcycle. They have a whole series of these types of bikes. This one is like a scooter in the sense that there's no gears, there's no shifting. You just get on and go. It's a great entry-level motorcycle for anyone who wants to start or check it out. I'm going to do another video that'll explore that more in depth, but I love it. It is the most relaxing thing. You just get on and go. I do want to name it. I don't have a name for it. So if you guys can help me name this bad boy, put your suggestions in the comment section. All right, let's hit the road. Let's get on this Navi, have some fun, and see Sebring. All right, here we are on the road, Navi-Gators, checking out another awesome little town. You know, this is actually the second town my wife and I have gone to that is connected to HGTV. My wife's here. She didn't want to ride today, so I took the ride, but then we spent the afternoon walking around. But we went to Waco back before Chip and Joanna Gaines created the Magnolia Network, and went to the silos and all the different places, and it was really cool. That was a destination, and they did it really, really well. I hope Sebring becomes a destination as well, because this little town deserves it. Now, this unique town of Sebring was founded in 1912 by a guy named George E. Sebring, and he was a pottery manufacturer from Ohio. I didn't know you could make enough pottery to build the city, but there you go. Now, Sebring meticulously planned this city. Apparently, he drew inspiration from the mythological Grecian city of Heliopolis, the city of the sun. And so he envisioned a community that radiated from a central circular park, like spokes on a wheel. And it's this design that gave Sebring its nickname, the City on the Circle. And Circle Drive is the road you actually ride on as you check out the downtown district. By 1913, the city was chartered, and in 1921, it became the county seat of the then newly formed Highlands County. But before we go downtown, I wanted to ride over to a place called the Harder Hall Hotel. Now, this place is huge, and wow, looking at it today, you wonder, how was this built in the middle of a town surrounded by orange groves? Like most other historic Florida buildings, this building traces its life back to the land boom of the 1920s. Construction actually began in November of 1925 by Vincent Hall and Lewis Harder. But somehow, Harder won the bet, I guess, to put his name first. I don't really know, I'm just guessing. It was designed by architect William Manley King in the Spanish colonial revival style, and it opened its doors on January 21st, 1928, as a luxurious resort on Little Lake Jackson. The hotel was billed as the Coral Gables of Central Florida. It boasted 200 rooms and a 160-foot tower. Sadly, the land boom busted in 1926, and the hotel barely made it to completion, but not without bankrupting its developers. That's too bad. In the decades that followed, it changed hands a lot, like 10 owners since it closed in 1986. And each one faced financial challenges, or some claim they all met untimely ends. I don't know if that's true, but it has fueled urban legends of a potential curse and claims of ghost sightings. Now, this building was listed on the National Register of Historic Places on June 20th, 1990. Now, today, after sitting vacant for nearly 40 years, Harder Hall may get a new life. In 2022, the Blackman family from St. Pete bought the building for $4 million, and they hope to restore it to its former glory as a resort. And as far as I can tell, they have started work. It looks like they started working on the roof, which of course is a smart move because you can't fix the inside until the building stops leaking on the outside. But I will say this, if this place reopens, my wife and I will be back for a stay. Now, this house on the left was one of the houses featured in the first episode of the Hometown Takeover. Now, on our way back to town, we're going to take a stop at this place. This rundown shell is the Kenilworth Lodge. Now, this was built by George Sebring back in 1916. This Mediterranean revival-style hotel was designed by architects Bonfoy and Elliott of Tampa, and it was made, like most other buildings during the time, to attract those affluent northerners during the winter months. It opened as a luxurious retreat with 108 rooms and an 80-foot swimming pool, the area's largest. It also had white oak furnishings. It also had an 18-hole championship golf course, an orange grove, a terraced lawn leading down to the lakefront beach, and it also had a beauty parlor, a barber shop, a gift shop, and a restaurant. But the Great Depression hit, and by June 1927, the hotel went bankrupt and the property was auctioned off. A local businessman named David Tuttle purchased the lodge and operated it throughout the Depression. In 1972, Thomas Wohl, he was a Hollywood, Florida businessman, not Hollywood, California, the Hollywood, Florida. He purchased the lodge and then he began selling off parts of the property, including the golf course. On June 15th in 2000, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places, but unfortunately that didn't help much. The lodge stayed open until August of 2016, when the city of Sebring condemned it for fire code violations after a small fire. And then they went inside and saw a whole bunch of other problems, and that was that. All right, so this little gem, it's called the Sebring train station. Or I should say officially, it's the old Sebring Seaboard Airline Depot. That's a lot of words for such a small space. This place was built in 1924 by the Seaboard Airline Railway. It was designed in the Mediterranean revival style that was popular at the time, and it was part of what was called the Orange Blossom Line. And this was railroad tracks that linked Florida directly to the northeast. and that connection worked. On January 25th, 1925, the first Orange Blossom Special rolled in from New York, hauling 43 Pullman cars with 500 dignitaries. Thousands greeted it in Sebring, with a band playing and a buffet laid out over at Kenilworth Lodge. It was quite a party for a town that just had 850 people back then. Currently, this station serves 2 Amtrak routes, the Silver Meteor and the Floridian. And these connect major northern cities like New York, Washington, D.C., and Chicago with Miami. And Sebring is one of the intermediate stops in Central Florida. All right, it's time to feed Algo the alligator. You know, I wish there were actual people watching these videos, people at Google or YouTube that are watching these things and saying, hey, that's cool, we should share it with more people. But there aren't people. There are just algorithms. And an algorithm is just looking for cues that it's been programmed to look for that tell it that it's popular and that more people should see it. And then it promotes that video to other people who like similar videos. So the only way that happens in the world of algorithms is by interaction with you, by you, to the video. And the way that happens is by the pushing of buttons and the entering of comments and watching videos all the way through and things like that. I'm not saying you have to do any of that. I'm just saying that that's the way it works. So if you want to support either the Navi-Gators channel or you really like this video, then, hit buttons, say things, I don't know, do whatever you'd like. But the more you interact, the more people will get to see it. So have fun, and let's see what happens. This beauty is the Highlands County Courthouse. It was built between 1926 and 27 and was designed by Virginia architect Fred A. Bishop. It was constructed by Paul H. Smith at a cost of over $200,000 back in the 1920s. It's a 3-story structure of granite and reinforced concrete, and apparently inside, a central rotunda has a domed roof and has mosaic floor tiles. Now what's interesting is when Highlands County was carved from DeSoto County in 1921, Sebring and nearby Avon Park duked it out for the county seat status. Sebring won by a razor-thin 51-vote margin, 805 to 754. And this election was apparently heated because there were bonfires and taunts at rivals. I guess that sort of interaction was a big deal before social media. Oh, this firehouse is so cool, isn't it? Now, in 1912, before Sebring was even officially a town, George Sebring kickstarted the local fire department by donating 2-wheeled carts and 800 feet of hose. Now, this building was built in 1927 and was designed by architect William J. Heim in the Art Deco style, which is one of my favorites. This single-story brick building with its distinctive tower became a local landmark. It was also a place to hang out. It became kind of like a social spot where firefighters and locals would gather and hang out. Today, it's still an active fire station. It's home to Station 14 and has 26 firefighter EMTs. Well, here it is, downtown Sebring, and this is where most of the work during the hometown takeover occurred. This whole circle was spruced up. We'll go around a few times so you can get a good look. This is so cool. This circle was completed in 1912, and it made Sebring Florida's oldest surviving circular city, and one of the few in the U.S. where the primary commercial district revolves around what is basically a roundabout. By 1913, when Sebring was chartered, this layout was already drawing investors who saw it as a potential gold mine during the Florida land boom. This downtown area has 22 historic buildings, again showcasing the classical revival architecture that was popular at the time. The Circle Park in the middle hosted everything from religious services to rallies in the city's early days. It became a communal focal point for the town back then, and it's a great place today to sit in the shade and enjoy the beautiful and unique buildings that surround it. This green building on the right is the first place they fixed up. Around the corner is a restaurant that was put in an old Salvation Army building. Now let's head down to the body of water, the large body of water that drew George Sebring here in the first place. This stunning lake to our left is Lake Jackson, and it's over 3,200 acres in size. And it averages about 11 feet deep, but there's some parts that are as deep as 25 feet. Now, this lake was one of the main draws of George Sebring, as well as the seasonal guest that he lured down here. And this ride around the lake, is 10 miles long. That's a big lake. Now, there's also another lake behind the Harder Hall Hotel, and that's called Little Lake Jackson, and that's a lot smaller. It's only about 137 acres in size. So here, just off the road, you can see orange groves. This is just a small patch, but it gives you an idea what an orange grove looks like. Now, statewide, there are over 832,000 acres of citrus groves. In Highlands County, where Sebring is, there are over 57,000 acres of commercial citrus, and that supports over 8 million orange trees. Isn't that crazy? And those trees produce over 10 million boxes of citrus just in Highlands County, not the whole state. That's amazing. Alright, so here's some stats for you. Sebring has a population of about 11,500 people. 16% are under 18, 20% are between 18 and 34, 24% are between 35 and 54, 11% are between 55 and 64, and 30% are over 65, and many of the retirees here are veterans. 55% are white, 26% are Hispanic, and 18% are black. 78% of the residents are high school graduates, and 16% have graduated college. There are about 4,800 homes and apartments in Sebring, and the median home value is just over $200,000. And the average rent is about $1,500 a month. The per capita income is about $30,000. That's $11,000 below the national average. And the median household income is about $38,000. That's drastically lower than the $75,000 national average. And a whopping 29% of the population lives below poverty level. Now, it'll be interesting to see how the notoriety of being featured on a series on HGTV will have long-term effects. The short-term effects are obvious. If you just walk around this place on a weekend, it's hopping. All right, so about 5 miles away from downtown is the Sebring International Raceway. And this is known as North America's oldest continuously operating road racing facility. I was gonna try to ride down there, but I kind of ran out of time. And also, there's not a lot to see unless you can get in. I will say this, if this channel ever gets me enough influence as a YouTube influencer to ask to ride on there, I cannot wait to take my Navi and its top speed of 50-ish and burn rubber around that place as much as possible on a Navi. You know, it was a 2-hour drive from where I live in the Tampa Bay area down to Sebring. And it's so cool to see such a unique city in the middle of the state. I hope the notoriety from HGTV's focus on the city not only brings it a lot of interest while the show's airing, but continually drives people there to explore the city, to enjoy the shops, and revitalize this adorable little town. With so much of this town being retired veterans, as the baby boomers pass, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. It'll be a very important time for this city to have an influx of young people who want to live there and grow the city, or there could be a void that may be hard to fill. Hopefully, the exposure of this little town will garner long-term benefits because it is such a cool place to visit. Well, that's it. As always, thank you so much for joining me on this ride. As you know, I believe time is our most precious treasure, and the fact that you spent any of that time with me means so much to me. So remember, when you're on the road, be safe, be kind, be generous, and most of all, have fun. I'll see you guys next time.